Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. Today is Takeoff Tuesday. It is April 27th. Our quote of the day today is, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. Mark your calendar for August 20th through the 24th. We will be going to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. The only requirement for Leaders Retreat is 1-star, 3-star, or 5-star qualification. So if you aren't one of those yet, make sure that you get 1-star qualified at the very least, and we will see you in Cabo. Our Renatus Founders Live webinar is every Monday at 4 p.m. Yesterday, we had an awesome meeting where we were introduced to a brand new instructor that we will be adding a new class. The one thing I love about Renatus is they are constantly adding new content to the education, and that we do not have to ever pay anything else for those additional classes. Bill Predebon, our trainer today, can actually attest to that. When he joined about 12, 13 years ago, there was something like only 20 classes at the time, and he paid the same price as we all paid, but those who are enrolling today are getting close to 80 classes instead. So anyway, yesterday we were introduced to a new instructor and a new class that we have. So go back and watch the Founders Live if you missed it. Those are every Monday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time through the Facebook page, Renatus Founders Live. We've got our national study groups every Monday at 7 p.m. Right now we're making our way through the essentials courses. We've got our Renatus Helios app, where we can watch our classes through the app. We can watch anything that is being live streamed through the app. You're notified whenever you have a commission paid or when a guest is checked into an event. So lots of great features with the app. Make sure you get it downloaded and also give it 5 stars. We've got a lot of support with Team Elevate. We have our weekly private capital masterclass every Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. We invite all AIT students to watch your private capital courses. We've got a few classes built around building private capital, and then come to this masterclass. We have Dane Clark facilitating it, where he has had quite a bit of success building private capital for his business over the years that he's been with Renatus, with everything that he's learned from those classes. And this is a place where we can start to learn to have those conversations, to start building for our businesses when it comes to private capital. And if you have also had success, please come to the class as well, because you can also share your wins and your expertise and share some of your knowledge with the group. We've got our dream call, the daily real estate action mastermind. That's every day. We start right after this call. So we start sometimes a few minutes later, around 9:05, and then we usually go till about 10 o'clock. So that is Monday through Friday, where we talk all things real estate investing. Whether you're brand new or you've been around for a while, you can definitely gain something or share something with this call. So please, we love that we can get as many people to attend the dream call as possible. And congratulations to everyone who has been attending consistently and is starting to make offers and take some massive action on their real estate business. And then we've got our our daily team call, where we talk all things marketing. That's what we're on right now. We meet Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 Mountain Time, where we talk about business, personal development, mindset, and marketing. We do ask that you are a part of the OES if you are looking to attend the Dream Call or the Private Capital Masterclass on Thursdays. The OES is the optional event subscription. You can learn more about that through the website here on the screen at www.oesoes.com. If you're looking to introduce any of your guests to the Profits Education, a great way to do that is to get them in front of Scott Rowe. Scott Rowe does an intro on the profits every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Please make sure you do register your guests in Helios, and you can find this event in Helios. Just type in profits when you pull up the calendar on the search bar, and that will pop up for you on Tuesdays. Every Wednesday, we have a house tour. Our house tours are so much fun. We get to learn about what people are out there doing today in today's market. This is every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Make sure that you're building for these events and getting your guests in front of these house tours, where they get to see the education being put to action and the community working together. Of course, please register in Helios. How you find these house tours in Helios, just go to the calendar, type in Laura in the search bar, and Laura Black is the host of these events. That's why you type in her name, and that's when you will see these pop up on Wednesdays. So please make sure you get registered, as well as I wanted to mention too that you access the event through the website here, teamelevateusa.com, and you'll simply just click on the house tour. And then every Thursday, we've got lots going on. We've got our corporate onboarding session at 4 p.m. We have another house tour offered in Spanish. So on Wednesdays, it's in English. Thursdays, it's in Spanish. That's at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, also in the Helios calendar. Our Pillars of Wealth intro presentation is at 7 p.m. We've got a couple of study groups, our multifamily and short-term rental study groups, and then a velocity banking study group at 8 p.m. So we've got lots going on Thursdays. Always register in Helios, and then you can access all of these events through teamelevateusa.com. We record these morning calls. I do need to get them added to the Facebook page. Something's going on with Facebook Live where I think they've changed something. So I need to email Zoom and figure out why I'm not able to go live as of the last week or so. But I am making sure to add the recordings to the Facebook page. So of course, you can always find the recordings on our Team Elevate, Renatus Team Elevate private Facebook page. A lot of great features with the Facebook page as well. You get to network with the team, ask questions, share your wins, and there's always some really important announcements there as well. And then our YouTube channel is Elevate Renatus, where you can find these recordings as well as our Zoom Up Call playlist. Today is Takeoff Tuesday. We get to learn from Bill Predebon. Before we introduce Bill, let's shift over to our money mastery exercise.
This child runaway.
Today is Takeoff Tuesday. We get to hear from Mr. Bill Predebon. Make sure to take notes today. Bill always has a lot of great insight to share. And what I love about Bill is that he really, really is passionate about helping us and helping us figure out what's going on with our businesses and how we can continue to move forward. Bill is an incredible individual. He has amazing energy and deep passion for this business. He is killing it on both sides of this business, where he is doing a lot of real estate while also helping a lot of people get started with this education. Bill used to be a pro skier for many, many years in Vail, Colorado, and he realized after some time that he wasn't qualified to do much else and that he needed to find something else as a ways to earn income. So he had learned about the franchise world, got into that, and he owned a couple of stores with a few partners, and due to lack of knowledge, he ended up losing everything. And then after that, he learned about real estate investing, and this was right around 2007, right before the crash. He did not really get educated, but what he did do was he got his realtor's license, he got a job as a loan officer, and then he dabbled with a little bit of real estate investing, where he ended up getting himself in over $400,000 of debt. And this was right around the 2008 crash, as I mentioned. And after that was when Bill found Renatus and got educated, and he was able to pull himself out of that hole because of the Renatus wealth cycle. And as I mentioned earlier on the call, at the time, when Bill started, there was only a few classes compared to what we have now. And the classes at the time were live and in person. We did not have the online training that we do have today. So it's just really cool to hear Bill's side of the story, because he's been with Renatus for over 13 years. And over the time, he has been able to build an incredible business on both the marketing side and the real estate side, where he has now completed well over 150 transactions. And I would love it if he told us a little bit about the deal he's working on right now, or perhaps the one that he just got a really nice offer on. And so I'm just so inspired by Bill's work. And again, I mentioned he's killing it on the marketing side as well, not just the real estate side. He is on the PIT team, which is the President's Advisory Council in training. So again, make sure to take notes. I'm excited for what Bill has to share with us today. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Hey, Keely Bills. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you.
I am doing well. Good as well. Thank you for asking, and thanks everybody for being here. I am excited to do this call. Yeah, you've always got such a great introduction and such great tidbits to share. You're right. When I got started, you guys, I'll tell you, double-edged sword, right? There was the education was live only, and most of you know this, but some of you don't. But when we did this, I enrolled right at the end of 2007, got my education in 2008, and or saw the information towards the end of 07, and I had 2 years to be able to go to an unlimited amount of classes. So it was unlimited colleges, but you had to go to the event, and the event was held once every 3 months roughly. There was sometimes they had it 2 months later, but it was usually once every 3 months. And so you would actually, in order to get more opportunity to watch more classes, you had to volunteer and actually work during the college, but then you really couldn't pay attention to the class, so it wasn't really conducive if you were um, really trying to study. So, but what was interesting is, of course, you're in a live setting, and you had to study. You know, you had to turn your phone off. You had to pay attention. Pretty much, there wasn't many distractions. It was quiet, and you couldn't get up. I mean, you can go to the bathroom, obviously, and if you wanted to not be in the class, then you would just be out in the hallway by yourself socializing. But um, anyway, you guys get the point. The cool thing is now that we have it lifetime, and we have it unlimited access 24 hours a day. But the bad news is you've got to discipline yourself there. You know, you're not forced to go to college, and you've got to make yourself watch your classes. And the most successful people that I've seen, including myself in Renatus, regardless of the marketing, including the marketing, I should say, um, study the classes, and they study them more than once, and they study them in multiple ways. Um, you know, it definitely correlates when you listen to Dane Clark and Michael Huggins, and you hear that, you know, he stuck toothpicks in his eyebrows to stay awake to watch the class because he was so tired from working 2 jobs and everything. It makes sense that he has the success that he has. Um, and everybody will have their own version of success that will be there. The good news is about this. I like that we have this opportunity now, is that when you sell this information to people, this opportunity, you know, the good news is there's nothing wrong with anything that anybody does, the way they do it and how they do it. When it comes to studying, getting started, making deals, making offers, that's the journey you're on. That's the path you're at. If you don't appreciate it, you don't like it, you're not happy with the results, you didn't do anything wrong. You just change it. You have the opportunity. You didn't miss out. You didn't have to start over. You just pick up where you left off. You start watching the class, and you get going. So so it's a much better system than we ever had. And of course, now there is no education in real estate that I'm aware of that is not offered in our criteria in our curriculum. So you will never have to search for another opportunity to learn um, to learn to be an educated real estate investor, or an entrepreneur, or even a business owner at this point. The only thing you'll need to search for perhaps is some self-development. And I like that Esther went to Michael Burnoff. When I got started and I had no money, it was a very far stretch. And I would go to Michael Burnoff. He's a local guy here in Arizona. And I spent tens of thousands of dollars training with him during my first 6 years when I really had no money. But I needed it more then than ever on how to learn to become the person I wanted to be, and learn to not be the person I had been that had gotten me to the place I was. And like Esther found out, you know, it really does start within, and it starts with your relationships. And I of course went for business, and I of course went to make more money, and that's not what personal development is about, as Jim Rohn says, and you guys have learned here. So awesome. Thanks, Keely, for the awesome introduction. I have a few things for you guys. I'm checking out the chitty chats. Coming from the streets, I was always around a situation that would end up leading to incarceration or death. I chose to take a different path to be better. That is the reason, wow, that I feel I am able to share this with you all today. I made the decision to lead by example and show those in the same. That's awesome. Yeah, someone noticed that Nick Hiller is a cool guy, and he recognized that as well. I would say that we all have temptations as well, Andres. And so I kind of ignored that one today, because I would say there are times when I don't ignore the bad, and I was like, man, that guy should have taken that deal with the mob. I'm just kidding. Um, So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. I love those little money matrices. That's cool. So what I have a couple things. I'm definitely gonna go with Keely here and and share with her what I was talking about, this deal. Here's what I would like to do. I don't know if you guys were here yesterday with Tamara, but she was awesome, I thought, and put her heart out there and took care of that training yesterday, impromptu, and shared a little bit about our goals, she shared a little bit with her getting riled up by Michael on our pit call the other day, and all of us kind of had an opportunity to share what some of our opinions and where she was going, and she took action on it, and then she was able to share that information with you guys. And then I really liked that she talked about you know, at the end there, she was kind of helping everybody out. So I'm going to take the opportunity today to go ahead and uh, and help anybody specifically that needs help. And I know Dane does this most of the time. I haven't done it in a little while, but what I mean by that is, if there's something specific that you're working on, if there's a specific customer you're dealing with, if there's a specific objection you have, um, maybe there's a specific roadblock you're having, then let's work on it. And I did not make the top 5 this year. I basically had no combo sales from January to March. And in my calculation, I might be a little off. I was probably 5 combos off of the 5th place from what I made. And in on my 1099 in 2020, because the majority of my income actually came after nationals of last year. So I set a goal to be in the top 5 this year, and my goal is to make 3 combo sales a month. And so I was going to start in April. I had momentum from the last 4 months prior to that. I had 2 Epics combos in March, and I just placed my first Epics combo in April, my second Epics combo in April yesterday. Technically, I'm placing it this morning because I didn't have his address and I couldn't get a hold of him last night. But I did the one-on-one follow-up with him. And then I have another one-on-one. I have 2 one-on-ones tomorrow. So I'm going to share that with you, share a little bit with you guys on the deal, and we'll start there. So if anybody feels like you want to work on something that specifically involves, baking a combo, as Michael says, getting past something that's holding you back from not just lead generation, but just, getting to that goal that you have, we can discuss it. Do I invite people to Thursday night before doing my follow-up, or do I do it all one-on-one? So this is an example of what's happened with Matt. All right. Matt is in the title industry. I would guess that it was 2 months ago. All right. This was a 2-month plus relationship. And then Maximilio, I'll get to that in a second. So I met Matt by driving to my Airbnb with my wife in my car on a weekend down the road, my old primary residence. So I'm driving there, and then there's an open house, and they were actually shutting the open house. And of course, there's an agent and there's this dude. So we rolled down the window, and more so out of curiosity about the open house, you're like, hey, where was the open house? What's going on? Did the house sell? Did you get any offers? And it's in our little 40 house community. I have a little private community that this property's in. And he came over to my side, and the agent went over to her side. And so we were both talking kind of through the window at both of them. And we were talking about our place right down the road. And they're like, oh, it's this house. And it was 1.2 million. And I was like, that's awesome. And they're like, yeah, we probably have it sold at 1.1 pretty easily. We think we're going to get 2 offers. And I was like, holy crap, that I know that house, and it's a smaller lot than mine, and it hasn't been updated for several years. It's a nice house, corner lot. But I know the house very well. And I was like, wow, that's going to be good for my comp, so then we started talking real estate and everything. And I specifically got his business card. My wife actually was the one who mentioned that I do real estate. And, we mentioned that we had that Airbnb, and he was pretty excited about that. And then he and I were talking about golf, and I made it about golf. And he mentioned that he was going to go to the Players Championship. And so we started talking. I said, oh man, that'd be awesome. He's like, well, listen, I might even have an extra ticket. I'm like, let me get your number. Let's go to coffee. So all with not only a reason to develop a relationship for whatever reason, whatever bucket he's going to fall in, but of course I'm going to introduce him to Renatus, but not that day. Then we've texted the next week, followed up with him, set an appointment for the next week, and just went to coffee. I went to coffee with him, I believe, one time for about 2 hours, talked about the golf. I'm getting a ticket for me and my wife for the Players. We're going to South Carolina this coming May 19th. We're going to go to the Players. He's given us an extra ticket because he's not going all 3 days. And then we talked about property in South Carolina. He started talking about it. And so he had a lot to talk about with himself and what he does. I asked a lot of questions about, and I was building the relationship. I did not mention Renatus, except for the fact that I do real estate and I help other people do real estate. I told them, a little bit about it, but I really didn't mention Renatus. Then I set another appointment, or I was talking to him in between. So to answer your question, Keely, is when the question came up, if he's interested in learning to do it, he did tell me about investing $20,000 with his friend at 18%. And then that 20 grand got back to him, but the deal never really happened. And his buddy just gave him a promissory note, probably didn't end up doing the deal, and ended up doing the deal himself, kept all the money, not to screw him because he really didn't have a partnership agreement, but he thought maybe he'd make money and more than just the 18%. He's like, but I was happy with the 18%. And I'm like, well, don't you want to ever be the one in control of the money and do the deal yourself? He's like, yeah, I've got this house. So then I told him about Airbnb in my house, doing a line of credit, which he really had no idea about the line of credit. You guys, it's amazing, the information. So I just shared with him this information. I asked him if that was something he's interested in learning. So when we left that meeting or that conversation is when I sent him the recording of the Thursday night. I do not wait till Thursday night. Now, Keel and I talked yesterday, and she just did a 15-minute interview, if you will, after having conversations from a Facebook post, attraction marketing, pulling them into a message. After the message, got with them on the phone, and then invited them to Thursday because it's the next event. So it's best to have that live event, in my opinion, if it coincides with your timeline. But I'm not going to wait from a weekend Saturday of meetup or a Friday coffee and wait till next Thursday for him to see the presentation. In my opinion, with today's momentum and today's ability, the live events are definitely very important. And there will be a time when he'll fall into a live event like a property tour coming up. However, the goal here is that you're not going to be working with everybody on the same timeline. There will be people, if you're doing this right, even on a part-time basis, that you're meeting with somebody or talking with somebody on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and they can fall right into the Thursday. But if you're talking to people on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, they're not going to fall in on that Thursday. So I don't rely on the Thursday night anymore. I rely on the recording of the Thursday night. I rely on my own one-on-one, and my one-on-one that I'm going to sit down with somebody on Renatus with a notebook and my laptop comes after the Thursday night presentation, recorded or live. But in this case, Keely, my one-on-one was I didn't know this guy from Adam. I was not going to ask him to drop 20 grand. I didn't even know he invested 20 grand until he told me that at the coffee shop the first time. So that's when I started asking him questions about his investment strategy and about his home and understanding that he owned a home, because I didn't know that before. If I'd have just sent him the presentation first, it could have been premature, in my opinion, in trying to sell somebody something. So he and I are friends now. Like we're going to golf together. We talk cars together. We have spent we've spent 3 different coffee times over there, and This one in particular was let's get started and figured out the money. And he got his line of credit, he got his approval, and we figured out exactly the money and we placed the order. And so he's excited to sign the order today. And then by Friday, we'll know once he gets the final evaluation from his appraisal, then he'll know how much he's getting on his line of credit. And he also wants to use the line of credit to buy a new property as well as, so he's going to Airbnb. So we went through all the numbers on that to what that looks like, how much is going to go where, and where the $20,000 is going to be allocated from credit cards, cash, and the line of credit. So, good question. Sandra, I love you. I don't know enough, probably, Sandra, about credit nerds and how that works. That if they don't have, if I have found the money, I don't put them through credit nerds assessment. Yep. Now, once they're enrolled, I do, of course, you guys mentioned credit nerds. I think, Sandra, you'll see that people like Brian Beto, Raphael Oslanoff, there's a lot of people on my team that have gone through credit nerds after the fact to get more credit. So you do use credit nerds. I just don't always use credit nerds to try to fund education if I don't use it as another option if I already have found the money. However, if somebody is telling me they have no credit cards, but they have good credit, of course, a credit nerd's analyzation would be good, right? So like even Jim Rudeski, who has an 800 credit score, went through a credit nerds. You guys, if credit nerds is a very valuable resource, and it gives you learn a lot from working with the ladies at credit nerds and them helping your customers. I sent him through there, and credit nerds was so impressed with his ability to borrow. They told him flat out, go get your own credit because you don't need to pay 10% for credit, because he had such high lines already and he had really good credit scores. So it was all lined up for him already. So credit nerds is not a dishonest company in whatsoever. They are not going to just get somebody credit because they have a good score. So you guys can be rest assured that you're in good hands with credit nerds. Yep, very ethical. So it just depends on the person. If they're looking for more credit, or they're looking for additional credit, or they want, or they don't have any credit, then credit nerds is also a great place to go. It doesn't just need to be to fund my education for my personal benefit, right? If that makes sense. So it's always a very good research. So cool. Does anybody want to come off mute and talk about a specific objection you're having, a specific obstacle that is keeping you from those goals that Tamara was talking about yesterday, that is holding you back from talking to someone, like that you can't even get them in this cycle, like this process? And I'm just waiting to hear, so just interrupt me.
I have a question.
Cinderella?
Yeah,
Bring
good morning. Thank you so much for what you're sharing. I'm interested in your one-on-one, since you didn't do the live intro. Can you share a bit more how you proceeded with your one-on-one? Was it over Zoom? Was it in person? And exactly what did you share? Because I'm getting a feeling you made it very personable for him.
All right. So this is critical, guys. This is such a great question. I mean, we've got to be honest with everybody and ourselves about this process. So if you are not 5-star, or if you are 5-star and you don't feel comfortable, like there were questions I had to ask yesterday. You know, how much is your line of credit? How much is your home worth? You know, what is it going to be like if you don't, you know, do you see yourself doing a real estate deal in this year? Okay, yes, you do. And so are you going to buy that creatively, or 100% financed? Are you going to do a 20%? He's like, I'm probably going to do 20% down. I'm like, so how many more deals can you do like that this year? He's like, none. I can only do that one. Right. So I'm slapping him in the freaking face about how he's 45 years old and, you know, he's got a good job, but that's it. I'm like, well, how much do you have in your retirement? He's like, I don't really know. I said, do you know how much you're going to retire with? I'm like, if I go, here's the deal. Like, you could get a house and you're in a good market and it's going to go up. And in 20 years, you're going to have value in your world. I go, how's your daughter? He's like, she's 9. I'm like, do you know how you're going to pay for it? He's like, well, my parents set aside have an account for her. And I started one when she was 9. So I'm hoping to have enough college. I said, well, how much is college going to be? And I said, well, you know, and then I gave an example. I said, you know, my dad paid for my college. You know, he borrowed $50,000 against his house, put me through college for 4 years in Michigan State, in state. And that's what it cost. I said, that was 30 freaking years ago. I go, it's probably 4 times that now for your daughter by the time she goes to school. Are you going to have 200 grand? I'm like, so you guys get the point here so far I'm telling stories and asking questions, and I'm not selling it Renatus. So these, if you are not comfortable, and so I'm going to answer your question, Cinderella, in just a second. These one-on-ones, even the first one-on-one, I like to talk. I'm conceited. I don't listen very well. And I have to sit there with somebody I don't know and learn about what they want to tell me. And then when it's finally they stop talking, I have to ask another question. Okay? Because I'm building a relationship and I'm building it because it's fun. Like we had stuff in common, so it wasn't hard. Don't get me wrong. Do you understand? But even if that wasn't the case, even if he didn't golf and then we would still have to find common ground and we would talk business and politics and whatever we would talk. And, you know, I'm getting to know them, even though we both know that we're there to talk about real estate. So we are talking about the market. We are talking about his title company. We are talking about whether or not there's investors that he knows that he works with and things like that. And like, hey, what do you do as a title marketing VP? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that really, I mean, I have one at Security Title and I know what she does for me, but, you know, I just kind of ask him, you know, he told me about his budget that he has to spend with the title company and stuff like that. So at my one-on-ones, I'm going to get to some details here. This is great. And then we'll move on to the next one. We won't waste the whole time, but this is so critical, you guys. In my opinion, number one is if you can do it in person, do it in person. I do a lot of Zooms on one-on-one. I just closed the FX combo 2 weeks ago, and Sarah has already purchased her first 100% finance, borrowed $80,000 at 8% interest, bought her first rental in Michigan where her sister lives, off an auction, not even like a regular auction, it was online, but it was going, no, it was an on-market deal. And it cash flows like $500 a month. And I never met her. I've only known her on Facebook. I met her through Facebook. And my one-on-ones have been on the phone with her. And then we did a Zoom and I sent her 2 recordings. So it doesn't matter if it's live in person or live online, but if you can do it live in person, do it live in person. If you're online, it still works. It's not a big deal. The right person is not going to be offended. However, I have done this over 50 times, right? I've made over $500,000 roughly or something like that with Renatus. So I've done this over 50 combos. And so it's not hard for me. It's not hard for me to have conversations. It's in my personality. If you are working all the time and you have children and you're stay-at-home mom or dad, if you have all these things going on and you finally get 1 or 2 people in your pipeline and you have an opportunity to do a one-on-one and you've never done it, then we need to consult with somebody who has. And you need to, you don't need to do anything. You may want to consult with somebody. You may want to have your 5-star on the phone. I see the chat's coming up. I'm gonna get that. So in my one-on-ones, when I'm there, I'm asking questions about that are not easy questions to get a feel for where they're at and to find some pain points. And I know when I'm going to actually talk to the education and the options. So there are times yesterday when I would remind him, you know, for example, we have 4 classes. You could end up doing an arbitrage deal on, you know, and I gave an example of Tamara, who just did an arbitrage with Jeremy, and they met in the dream call. And then they did a deal in Florida. Tamara found the deal. Jeremy funded the deal. They don't even know each other. They met through the dream call in the morning and did this arbitrage deal. So I tell a story. I tell him how he could do this and learn how to do this. So and that took 3 minutes. So very little, but a little bit of plug in on the intellect, a little bit of plug in on the actual facts, and then more questions. And then always asking him, and I asked him yesterday right out. I said, do you feel, how do you feel? Are you nervous? Are you scared? What does it feel like? He's like, oh, I'm a little nervous. And then right away, yeah, I'm like, you know what? If you're not nervous, you're not out of your comfort zone. Would you agree? Yep. I mean, if it was just simple, I said, what's the natural thing? The natural thing is you to get this line of credit and not use it, right? I mean, why would you want to get these lines of credit cards and then spend them? We get nervous about spending lines of credit cards. Like it's been drilled into us forever. So you guys get my point. Okay. So I hope that helps answering your question about what I do in my one-on-ones. The one-on-one was an hour and 30 minutes. We had coffee, we had a small snack, we had water, and we talked a little bit about, it wasn't like 100% on point closing him, but that was going on during the time. And so I allocated the time for that. I was not in a hurry and I wasn't worried about looking at my phone all the time. If his phone rang, I said, go ahead and get it. And it gives me a break to look at my phone and send out a text if I needed to. Okay. Do you approach people on Facebook? How do you find each other? Okay. Max says he has the same question. And then I think I saw Max, what do you do to reach those goals exactly? Like, how are you meeting these people? Okay. I think it's important that you determine what you want to do, because there's a transformation. There's definitely a shift that has to happen in you on being on. Okay. And what that means is that, and I hope nobody gets offended on this. Like, I make myself busy. I'm not any busier than anybody else, but the way that my mind works and the way that I am, I'm busy. So when I'm on Facebook, I don't even have time for Facebook. I go on Facebook to like other people's stuff so that I don't look rude. All right. And so I spend as fast as I can. I try to comment and make notes. And sometimes I look at my wife will look at a comment. She's like, did you see what you said? I'm like, what? She's like, the spelling was wrong. You answered I even sometimes say the wrong comment on a different post because I didn't realize that I scrolled down one too many on the comment, or my phone glitched. You know what I mean? So, but I mean well, and don't get me wrong. I'm not just posting, but I post on people's stuff because I want people to interact on my stuff. And I don't want to be the opposite. And I don't have an assistant that I've delegated that to yet. So, so the way that I find people on Facebook is that I try to engage on a daily basis. I don't post nearly as much as I should, and I'm going to, in my opinion, or that I want to. I post when I can. I like to make a perfect post. So then I set it aside for a later time when I have the perfect time to make the perfect post. I don't think you need to do that. But then I am sure when I post that I get to everybody's comment. And on that particular post, whether it's a personal post about my dog or a personal post about my real estate, I am very adamant about getting back to people. And I look specifically for certain comments on people I don't necessarily know, or I know that are not and were not us. And I spend a little bit more time on my reply to their comment. Does that make sense? I'm doing that on purpose. When it comes to the reason I paused and I said there's a shift, when it comes to finding people, Facebook is an extra lead for me. By the time people come on Facebook and get to me, like Sarah, they're ready to go. They have not just followed me one time. This is a personal page. I don't have a business page. They have not saw me one time and said, oh, I want to make $1 million on a property. I'm down, right? They have followed me. So when this happened, Sarah knew one of my friends, and Sarah reached out to my friend and he said, hey, get a hold of this girl. She's interested in real estate. she had already been following Chris, who was following me, who's my buddy, and saw my posts. So she was familiar. Sarah Start to Close was a 15-minute interview, a recorded introduction, a one-on-one follow-up, and close. Cash combo, cash epics combo. She never even looked at the epics, at the profit part. Just part of that's just what it is. And so, and her and I, she wanted the idea. She'd been in other Facebook groups. She'd been in other heard of other mentors, looked at other programs, not very deeply, but loved the idea that I was in real estate and available. And, if that's not you, somebody who is, all of our support. And that if anybody is on one of our calls and they get my number, they can call me. Or anybody, Jeremy and Michael and anybody. So that there's support one way or the other in real estate that's besides just the coaching. So everything fit into what she was looking for. And it was an easy, her mind was made up that she wanted to do real estate. And so by the time she got to me, once it made sense, and she liked what she saw and she got her questions answered from the night before of watching the introduction, it was a good deal. So, but the rest of the people, Matt, for example, when I saw Matt and we rolled down the windows, I was on. I knew that at some point I would get that person's card and information and I would call them to get started in this business. Or he would be a lender or he would be some sort of title rep that would, bring me a deal or whatever the case is. So, my other combo this last month was Woody. And that combo was a warm market. When I still reach out to people in my phone, I follow up with I have been trying to close my, who's got the money, my plumber for 2 years, my ACA guy for at least 2 to 3 years, both of them. And I send them both the profits link with a nice little text. I am constantly focused on warm market and 3-foot rule. When you place an order, it asks you, where did you meet this person? And, what was the lead source? And I don't have a cold lead source. It's Facebook, 3-foot rule, or warm market. And those are my people. Now I am going to start doing more cold market. I have to. There's no way that you can, in my time frame, I don't know that I could, unless I was diving into Facebook groups and leveraging other people's audiences like Nate does to a T. I don't know how to do that yet. And I haven't spent the time learning it. And I haven't spent the time trying it. Then if I'm going to do 3 or 4 combos a month and ramp that up for June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, so that I can be in the top 5 next year, then I'm going to have more lead sources than just my warm market and 3-foot rule. Or I better get out and talk to every freaking person I walk in the Starbucks. Okay. Are you okay with Renata students checking out your page? I'd love to see what you do in Facebook in my week suit. Yeah, absolutely. Please go look at my page. I am friends with, I have never purged my friends. I get 90% of my Renata's posts are our Facebook folks are Renatus, and I go back, I try to like everybody else's Renatus posts. When they post, know that I mean it, you guys. I'm not just saying that, but I appreciate all their comments. I try to, sometimes there's a lot of great comments from Renata students that, hey, great job, Bill, you're an inspiration or whatever. And then I'll like elaborate on that on my comment back or something. And that way, if anybody is watching and I don't know that they're watching, then they're going to see this conversation, be like, wow, this guy knows this guy and talks to this guy or girl. And you know what I mean? I'm thinking this in my head. I have no idea if this is actually true, but does that make sense? Like I'm always thinking about are there outside eyes watching this that isn't part of Renata's that is going to maybe get something from this conversation on Facebook. So it's very important to me. So yeah, feel free to check that out and check out my posts. And then one thing I always do is my team. I'm constantly posting and commenting and liking and stuff on all my team that's doing real estate and posting stuff about their families and their birthdays and their parties and their get-togethers and stuff like that. My team is very, very important to me. I'm driven 100% by my team. Yeah, that's virtual, Frank. Cool, man. Got it, Max. Cool. Sherry, I only got a few minutes left, got about 5 minutes. When the, I shared this story and you can share this story, in my opinion, in your marketing. That's why it's relevant. Um, I enrolled a guy, I met a guy at the gym, right? So what would that be? 3-foot rule. I'm on the phone at the gym, and this was 2.5 years ago, and I am talking to a contractor about drywall. And the guy, and I work at the gym while I'm at the gym. I listen to usually a class or the book, and then, but I take a call or shoot texts out. And so I like the gym. I spend a good hour and a half at the gym every day usually, and then not including tennis in the weight room. And he started talking to me, and his name was Sean. So long story short, I start talking to Sean, and we start talking real estate and develop a relationship and see each other at the gym, and we develop a relationship. And of course, we're talking real estate. So of course, the minute I'm having a conversation with this guy, I'm thinking Renatus. Slowly but surely, Sean got involved with Renatus over time. He started at the essentials, and then he moved up to the advanced, and then he moved up to the combo. And he did it as a relationship builder. I think he wanted the education. I think the more he sees the education, the more value he sees in Renatus. But it was not something he was looking for. He didn't have a need to meet, except for building his network. So I think that him buying some of the education was more of a networking event for him, and a network relationship building and things like that, almost a give and take. But he tested the waters and he said, "Hey, I got this. This is when we first met. I got this deal, and do you want to look at this deal?" So naturally, I'm going to say yes for all kinds of reasons. But number one, he's just a brand new friend who's a broker who's bringing me a deal and said he's got this deal that I should look at, and I'm going to say yes because I'm building the relationship. So you guys, it's imperative. Like, just meet these people and tell them to bring you deal. You know what I mean? Hey, if you got anything, let me know. And then the minute they bring you something, just say yes and just start exploring it. Anyway, we end up doing this deal. Long story short is we put in an offer. I had no idea how I was going to fund it. I didn't even know what I was going to do with it. It was a 900 square foot vacant for 2 years, abandoned, squatter, drug infested, piece of property up on this mountain in an area that didn't look as good as I thought it would be. I'm not a Sunny Slope fan, but it was a unique place up on the west side of the preserve. And I'm doing this deal with Sean. We're under contract. He's like, "Hey, man, like 2 weeks in, he's like, are you going to send in the earnest money?" And I really didn't even allocate the earnest money. So I had to write a check out of my own operating account for this earnest deposit. I hadn't raised any money for it. I was like, So then the timing was coming up. I got like a 20 or 30-day inspection. So when I did that, it bought me all kinds of time to blow it off and not worry about it. But the inspection was coming up, and I had to start looking at this house. And I happened to be enrolling students. And I met this girl, Keo, and Keo comes to me and come with a situation where she was looking to do real estate, but she had, I'm going to try not to go over. Oh, shoot, I got to go. So she had some resources. So she enrolled in the education. And then the next day I set up a meeting with her, and I said, "Listen, I've got an opportunity for you. If you're interested in the stars align, would you want to look to do your first deal? I know you're not ready to do your first one on your own. I've had some experience. I'd be interested in doing this deal. It might be putting some of your money to work that you've recently come up into. And I know that was your main goal, is that you want to grow your retirement." And so she said, yes. We went through the deal. She funded this deal, several $100,000 funded this deal. We purchased it, fixed it. Through COVID, we didn't do much. There's a lot of different things that we upped it. But at the end of the day, I just got $1 million cash offer after 2 years of owning this property. We bought it in November of 2018, 2018, 2.5 years. We got $1 million cash offer, and we are into the thing for, I don't know, I'll round up and say, I don't know, we're into it for, I don't know, 450, 550 rather. So potentially between the two of us, before I pay her for her interest and we did a hybrid deal, her split, we estimate we could make between $350,000 and $450,000 on this. I got to finish the numbers this week. it's a pretty big net profit for us to share. She has a little bit of a hybrid and an interest rate. And I've had a significant amount of her money for over 2 years. So that she's made some incredible interest on her property, on her money. And it's a really great deal. But the point to this whole conversation about this deal is that I got the deal through enrolling a student. I got the money through enrolling a student. I've had a ton of Glass House Facebook posts that have brought me students. And I've had a ton of property tours at this house that have brought me students. So it's, yeah, exactly, Keely, incredible house tours, tons of comments. These are some of my biggest comments on the posts and stuff like that. And I actually just got a backup offer for $1,108,000 on the house with the pool. That nets out to $1,075,000. So it's actually 75,000 more than our cash offer, but it's conventional. But it was $1 day late and $1 short unless this guy cancels. But the opportunity to enroll students, if you shift your mind into thinking that you are enrolling students because you want to help your real estate business, that is a fact. You will help yourself by helping other people by enrolling students and spending time on meeting people, 3-foot rule and warm market, and sharing this information with them. Okay. I hope I was able to help some folks with this training on answering your guys' questions and making it about you and not always making it about conceited me. So with that, you guys, I love you guys. It's time to get on the dream call. It's time to get your day started. Bobby G, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. And I love all you guys, Steve and everybody. Thanks, Cindrell and Sandra, for coming out and asking questions, and Maximilian, that's awesome. And Keely as well. Thanks for hosting this. Thanks for your questions and your input and your thoughts. I really appreciate everything you do for us. So everybody's awesome. Thank you, Jen. That's awesome. You guys know how to reach me if you ever need to. Estherine, let me know if you're still interested in talking to me. I know we didn't get a chance to connect. So if you're on today, otherwise, if you're not on today, I'm going to call you because we didn't get a chance to talk about that deal you had. Other than that, you guys make it a great day. I'll see you tomorrow on Danes, and I'll see you next week. And thanks for spending your time with me. I can't tell you how much it means to me. Bye, everybody. Have a good day. 760-533-3141. I put that in the chat.